up, Hoopers? The Black Hokage here, aka TBH, and to be honest, it is that time of year. The time of year in which each and every one of us opt in to continue our abusive relationship with NBA 2K. NBA 2K24 has been out for a couple of weeks, and many of you who drop by my stream at twitch.tv/thebblackhokage, link in the description box below, wink, 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 have asked me to share my thoughts on this game. Before we get into that, quick disclaimer. The following video contains some general impressions of NBA 2K24, but this is not a full-blown review, especially considering I don't play every mode. I'll mainly be focusing my thoughts on my career, park, and rec, seeing as that's what I play. Feel free to take my thoughts with a grain of salt, seeing as my opinion may change down the line. Always do research and watch several videos before making that $70 purchase, okay? Now with that disclaimer out of the way, here's what you need to know before you install NBA 2K24. The 2K series is one of the hardest games to formulate a solid opinion on, and the reason being is because the way the game launches is never how it ends 9 months later. If you would have asked me the week the game came out how I felt about it, I would have told you I'm having a blast, and that's because improvements were made. I mean, my career has been streamlined. You no longer have to watch those boring cutscenes. You can just create a player and go straight to the league to grind your badges. They even brought back the rookie difficulty to make badge grinding easier, plus you can start on any NBA team day one. If that's not your thing, you can even take your My Player online and play 5v5 against someone else controlling their My Player. The new parks look cool. You have 2 new affiliations in Elite and Rise. They finally added solo queue for rec players, and the few story missions in the city you have to do are not that bad. There's a new street ball mode, which made grinding your badges a lot more fun, and I enjoyed some of the changes made to the core gameplay. Interior defense is better, the My Player builder is more strict so everyone can't make a demigod, and there's a bigger skill gap in shooting than ever, which I welcome. But there are 4 major issues with NBA 2K24 that sucks all the fun out of the experience for many people, and let's start with the 2 most obvious. NBA 2K24 is 100% pay to play. It's absolutely disgusting how greedy this corporation has become, and I'm gonna say it since many of you are scared to say it, this community is largely at fault. It's one thing to purchase the game and maybe a little VC here and there, but you got your community leaders boasting on social media about spending $20,000 on an annual basketball game as if that behavior is cool and something to brag about.
25,000?
2K22 alone,
Okay.
from the day the game dropped to the next game, I spent 25K.
My brother,
You're a victim.
the 2K community's lack of understanding when it comes to group economics has led to the game becoming virtually unplayable if you're not willing to pay. But the worst part is that this same community cries about the littlest things not going their way, so the developers patch the game, and that day one build you made and spent your hard-earned money on can become useless in an instant, which I'm gonna go into further detail a little bit later in this video. Instead, I wanna focus on the VC issue. This game has been out for almost a month, and I still see plenty of 70 to 80 somethings running around because the grind to level up your player is unbearable. You have to practically no life the game to compete online if you don't want to open up your wallet. And to add insult to injury, this $70 game has a season pass that resets every month for 9 months. So it's $20 a month for 9 months. And to make it even worse, once again, community leaders are out here purchasing season pass levels. It costs $75 to max out the season pass, which is just terrible influence. If you do the math, you're gonna need at least 2 to 800,000, maybe even 1,000 to get a decent experience in this game, which is incredibly tone deaf with inflation at an all-time high. The second issue I have with this game is 2K24 introduced crossplay, and I'm shocked it works, by the way. The problem is the online latency is unbearable. It makes the argument about skills gap null and void. We can't talk about who's the best shooter or who's the best dribbler if everyone's playing in different latency and has different reaction times. And the worst part is the developers don't even acknowledge it. I tip my hat to the people who can get good in this lag, but for me, it's unbearable at times, and honestly, it's not acceptable for a $70 product with a season pass. The least laggy modes online are the theater and the rec, but even in the rec, it feels like my players just move a lot slower. I play on Hall of Fame difficulty in my career, and I go from shooting 70% to barely being able to hit anything online because not only does it lag, but the lag isn't even consistent. One moment you're moving slow, the next there's a spike and folks are just teleporting all over the place. The third issue I have with this game is the new badge system. This year, the game features badge regression. If you don't use the badge, you lose the badge. I understand what they were trying to do, but I hate this system and I pray they scrap it for next year or it might be time to hang it up. Here's the problem with this system. I have gold shooting badges on my point guard, but I don't get to shoot as much when I play online with the boys because I have to facilitate the offense and throw more dimes, not to mention people be mashing online trying to steal the ball, so you gotta give it up. Therefore, I don't get to shoot as much like I do in my career, yet I'm being punished for that. I'm not even necessarily taking bad shots. It's such a stupid system because any real athlete knows what muscle memory is. You don't just forget stuff that you put in work in the gym for hours upon hours upon hours. I'll give you a real life example of what I mean when I say muscle memory. I was a wrestler in high school, high level at that. Captain of my team, senior year, ranked in the state, blah, 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 blah. I graduated high school back in 2008. Yes, I know I'm old. Get your slasher jokes off in the comments now. 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine approached me about something. She told me her friend recently started doing jujitsu and was having trouble guarding a single leg takedown. He asked her to ask me for advice, and without even thinking, I said my favorite way to defend a single or double leg takedown is to sprawl on your opponent, then push your hips into their shoulders when their head is buried in the ground. Now, naturally, what happens next is that person will push back. Soon as you feel them push you, you put your arm around their tricep and you throw them to the side to gain side control. This move is called a throw by. It uses your enemy's momentum against them. I just dropped you a gem, by the way. Feel free to pick it up. Now, at the time of this recording, I am 33 years old. Do you know why I am able to instantly draw up a defense against an opponent 15 years after I graduated and had my last match? It's because I really lived that life. I put in thousands of hours of reps from middle school to high school, so I just never forgot. I am confident still to this day I can beat the brakes off of most dudes because of the sweat equity I put in the gym those days. I also still practice a little just in case somebody feeling froggy, but that's beside the point. The point is, you don't just forget what you're great at. Michael Jordan lost his athleticism due to age, but I'm confident he can still shoot. In NBA 2K24, have 2 bad games or just don't use the badge and watch you lose the badge. It's annoying, it's not fun, and it feels like a cheap way to artificially keep people online because now you gotta sit on the game and constantly grind your badges. They got this new floor setter system where basically you could pick certain badges that will never regress, but that's annoying because you have to do certain story missions to unlock it, and even still, you can't save every badge, only a certain amount. So once again, it feels like it's all artificially keeping you on the servers to play the game more. But the worst thing about this game is the community, hands down. I play a lot of different games, and no community mentions the term IQ more than 2K's community. Ironically, 2K has one of, if not, the most low IQ community in the gaming space. This game was decent week 1, but just like every other year, people start crying and the developers start folding. I wish I was trying to be funny, but in the past 2 weeks, there has been a patch or a hotfix update for this game at least every other day. They keep changing the game because of crybabies instead of making people adapt, and then the vocal minority is messing up what was a solid foundation. I kid you not, at the time of this recording, which is September 24th, 2023, new patch notes just dropped on Twitter as I finished writing this script. It just doesn't stop, which makes it hard to find any level of consistency. Between the constant patches, ghost contest being back, the broken dunk meter, and the lag, it's made the learning curve to play even more difficult than it needed to be. How can we talk about skills gap with the servers not even being smooth? This has led to a large influx of cheaters recently. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Zens are back. And if you don't know what a Zen is, think of an aimbot for 2K so players cannot miss their shot. The current state of NBA 2K24's gameplay is not good, and it's because the developers keep listening to the buffoons with followings on YouTube and Twitter who are more focused on just trying to get cool clips for their following instead of the greater good of the community. Mix in the greedy business practices, and there's no way in my right mind I can recommend this game to anyone who's on the fence. But who knows? Maybe my opinion will change when they stop patching the game so much. We'll see how I feel when it's time to make my top 10 games of 2023 video. Now, while you wait for that, feel free to check out my previous episode of Before You Install. It's on Mortal Kombat 1, another game that's also in a lackluster state. And if you want to know why, click the card on the screen to find out.